Our top story, of course, the protests there, the extraordinary scenes in the past 24 hours. We're going to talk to David Zweig about it, Professor Emeritus at Hong Kong University. He's joining us from there. Nice to have you with us, David. I'm interested in...
Sorry, it's Hong Kong University of Science and Technology.
Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Got it. Thank you.
Science and Technology.
So yep. I'm interested in what you think about Beijing's position here. Our correspondent was telling us earlier about how publicly and probably privately, Beijing very much supports Carrie Lam and says this is an issue for the Hong Kong government. But the more things happen like this, I imagine it would be hard for them to stay in the background.
Well, you know, what's actually necessary probably is for them to stay in the background. And part of the problem, I think, has been over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a tightening up here. And, you know, five years ago, we had a major issue here in Occupy Central, where the young people took over the downtown section of Hong Kong in concerns about the format that was going to be used for an election. And they held the place for 79 days, and they got no response. Right? The Hong Kong government gave them no response. Beijing gave them no response. And then actually what we've seen since then is an increased tightening. Young people have, people who were elected lost their jobs. A party that admittedly was somewhat close to trying to call for independence, that was closed down. So you know, Beijing can say that this is a real challenge to one country, two systems, but you can make the alternative argument that both Hong Kong government and Beijing have really not responded in a good way to people's concerns, economic and political concerns here, and have kept moving towards one country and have not been, you know, they should just stop and stay where they are. It's an okay system where it is now. Could get better, but if they continue to tighten, then they're just going to have more trouble.
But the thing is, it's all heading towards the year 20. I know it's still a few years away, but heading towards 2047 when it all changes again. You know, 50 years after the...
Well, we don't know that. I'm sorry, Camel.
Okay.
Camel, we don't really know. There's nothing that says in the basic law that the system cannot be maintained after 2047. It just means that Beijing promises not to change it before 2047. And you could make the argument that they haven't really, you know, they were pretty good for a number of years, and now they've been you know, encroaching on the promises of greater or maintaining the level of autonomy. And I think that people would feel a lot better if there wasn't this sort of slowly, step by step sense that it is getting tighter down here. I think that's a serious problem. You were saying, go ahead.
Oh, what I was just going to ask you is about Carrie Lam as well. She's such a central figure here. What does she do now in this position where she is, you know, representative of Hong Kong, but also Beijing's woman in Hong Kong? What more can she do?
Well, what more can she do? She can back off on what she did. I mean, she's in many ways the source of the problem here. You know, since 2014, as I said, there hasn't been much progress. And then she introduced a new law, or was going to introduce a law that was going to allow for the extradition of businessmen and people here, potentially political dissidents from here to Beijing. And 1 million people marched. She ignored that. And then, when there was violence, was the only time she did respond. So she, in fact, can be, you know, she showed that if you use violence, maybe we'll listen. But if you don't use violence, we're not listening at all.
Right.
I think she sent a really bad message. And why raise this issue at a time when Beijing, you know, the issues that Beijing wanted to control and wanted to control over, like the discussion of independence here, they were winning on that. Yeah. So she's really, I think this is her baby. I think she's just made a huge political mistake, and she won't fire anybody from her government. I mean, most governments around the world, if you had 2 million people, 1/4 of the population marching, and then you do nothing, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Fascinating times, isn't it? David Zweig from the... No, great to talk to you. Yeah. David Zweig from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Thank you.